A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. I seek the protection of Allah against the devil. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent and the most merciful. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amr wahlul 'uqdatum min lisani yafqahu qawli. O my Lord, open for me my chest. Grant me the self-confidence, contentment and boldness, and make loose the knot from my tongue that they understand my speech. Assalamu alaikum. May peace, blessings and mercy of Allah be upon you and to all the messengers of Allah, and in particular on the noble and the final messenger Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, his family and his companions. In this video, we will be learning about the section A, the foundations of internal auditing of CIA Part 1, Essentials of Internal Auditing. This section has the weightage of 15% in exams. International Professional Practices Framework. IPPF is the conceptual framework that organizes the authoritative guidance promulgated by the Institute of the Internal Auditors. Authoritative guidance comprises of two categories: mandatory guidance and the recommended guidance. The full form of IPPF is International Professional Practices Framework. Mandatory guidance. Conformance with the principles outlined in the mandatory guidance is required and essential for the professional practice of internal auditing. Mandatory guidance is developed following an established due diligence process, which includes a period of public exposure for stakeholder input. There are 4 elements of the mandatory guidance. Number 1, core principles for the professional practice of internal auditing. Number 2, definition of internal auditing. Number 3, code of ethics. And number 4, international standards for the professional practice of internal auditing, that is, standards. Recommended guidance. Recommended guidance describes practices for implementing the IIA's core principles, definition of internal auditing, code of ethics, and the standards. The recommended elements of the IPPF are implementation guidance, which assists internal auditors in applying the standards. The supplemental guidance, also known as the practice guides, provides detailed processes and procedures for internal audit practitioners. Mission of internal audit. The mission of internal audit is to enhance and protect organizational value by providing risk-based and objective assurance, advice, and insight. The mission of internal audit articulates what internal audit aspires to accomplish within an organization. Its place in the new IPPF is deliberate, demonstrating how practitioners could leverage the entire framework to facilitate their ability to achieve the mission. Internal auditing definition. Internal auditing is an independent, objective assurance and consulting activity designed to add value and improve an organization's operations. It helps an organization accomplish its objectives by bringing a systematic, disciplined approach to evaluate and improve the effectiveness of risk management, control, and governance processes. The definition of internal auditing states the fundamental purpose, nature, and scope of internal auditing. Standards. The standards are principle focused and provide a framework for performing and promoting internal auditing. The standards are the mandatory requirements consisting of the statement of basic requirements for the professional practice of internal auditing and evaluating the effectiveness of its performance. The requirements are internationally applicable to organizations and the individuals. Interpretations, which clarify terms or concepts within these statements, and the glossary terms. Purposes of the standards. The purposes of the standards are: number 1, it guides the adherence with the mandatory elements of the International Professional Practices Framework. Number 2, provide a framework for performing and promoting a broad range of value-added internal auditing services. Number 3, Establish the basis for the evaluation of internal audit performance. And number 4, foster the improved organizational processes and the operations. Components of standards. Number 1, the statements of the core requirements for the professional practice of internal auditing and for evaluating the effectiveness of performance that are internationally applicable at organizational and individual levels. Number 2, interpretations are clarifying terms or concepts within these standards. Types of standards. There are 3. Number 1, attribute standards. Number 2, performance standards. And number 3, the implementation standards. Level at which the standards are applicable. The standards apply to individual internal auditors and the internal audit activity. All internal auditors are accountable for conforming with the standards related to the individual objectivity, proficiency, and due professional care, and the standards relevant to the performance of their job responsibilities. Chief audit executives are additionally accountable for the internal audit activities' overall conformance with these standards. Attribute standards. The attribute standards address the attributes of organizations and individuals performing the internal auditing. Performance standards. Performance standards describe the nature of internal auditing and provide the quality criteria against which the performance of these services can be measured. Implementation standards. Implementation standards expand upon the attribute and the performance standards by providing the requirements applicable to assurance or consulting services. Primary components of the attribute standards. The primary components of the attribute standards are purpose, authority, and responsibility. Standard number 1000. The purpose, authority, and responsibility of the internal audit activity should be formally defined in the internal audit charter, consistent with these standards and approved by the board of directors. Independent and objectivity. Standard number 1100. The internal audit activity must be independent and the internal auditors must be objective in performing their work. Proficiency and due professional care. Standard number 1200. The engagement must be performed with proficiency and the due professional care. Quality assurance and improvement program. Standard number 1300. The chief audit executive, that is the head of the internal audit activity, must develop and maintain a quality assurance and improvement program that covers all aspects of the internal audit activity and continuously monitors its effectiveness. Primary components of the performance standards. The primary components of the performance standards are managing the internal audit activity. Standard number 2000. The chief audit executive must effectively manage the internal audit activity to ensure that it adds value to the organization. Nature of work. Standard number 2100. The internal audit activity must evaluate and contribute to the improvement of risk management, control, and governance processes using a systematic and disciplined approach. Engagement planning. Section number 2200. Internal auditors must develop and record a plan for each engagement, including the scope, objectives, timing, and resource allocations. Performing the engagement. Section number 2300. Internal auditors must identify, analyze, evaluate, and record sufficient information to achieve the engagement's objectives. Communicating results. Standard number 2400. Internal auditors must communicate the engagement results. Monitoring progress. Section number 2500. The chief audit executive must establish and maintain a system to monitor the disposition of results communicated to the management. Resolution of the management's acceptance of the risk. Standard 2600. When the chief audit executive believes that the senior management has accepted a level of the residual risk that may be unacceptable to the organization, the chief audit executive must discuss the matter with the senior management. If the decision regarding the residual risk is not resolved, the chief audit executive and the senior management must report the matter to the board for the resolution. Core principles that guide the internal audit activity. The 10 core principles are: demonstrates the integrity, demonstrates the competence and the due professional care, is objective and free from undue influence, that is independent, aligns with the strategies, objectives and risk of the organization, is appropriately positioned and adequately resourced, demonstrates quality and continuous improvement, communicates effectively, provides risk-based assurance, is insightful, proactive and future-focused, promotes organizational development. This learning video is designed from my book CIA Part 1 Essentials of Internal Auditing 2022, which is available for subscription from my website zenacademy.us or mzen.org. Please do like the video, share it and subscribe the channel for amazing contents. Feel free to ask any questions relating to studies through the WhatsApp on 92-311-222-4261 or through email at help@zenacademy.us or help@mzen.org. May Allah, Lord of the heavens and the earth, bless you in this world and in particular in life hereafter. Ameen. Have a nice day. Take care. Allah Hafiz.